Welcome to this video on Pallas Athena as she's getting ready to station direct on February 16th. We're so excited. I'm Kaylin Castell here with Morgan Markwild, and we have so much to share with you about this magical stationing of Pallas Athena. I'm going to turn it over to Morgan to lead us into it, and just let me know when you want to put some slides up. Or
yeah, let's put up the chart,
okay.
The Pallas direct chart.
Okay, we'll consider it done. Here we go.
Yeah. Okay. So, Pallas Athena has been retrograde since November 30th, and on February 16th she goes direct at 10 Cancer 25. At her stationary retrograde point, she was opposite Pluto. So it really set up a lot of composting, a lot of availability to see shadow. I feel like this retrograde period has been just an amazing time to get deeper into our consciousness. One thing I've really been exploring personally with this retrograde is the idea that Pallas is so mental. She is so about consciousness itself. And, the parts of me, the parts of us, like humanity, that is so narrowly focused, we've lost so much in the past several thousand years of what is available to us on a consciousness level. I feel like it's a really deep wounding of humanity. Just that we've lost so much of our awareness of ourselves, of one another, of the nature of reality. And to me, this has just been a brilliant time to reclaim some of that, or at least start to reclaim some of it. So that's been a major theme for me. Her whole retrograde in Cancer is a great opportunity to create a safe space for that to happen.
One of the things I love about this is because Pallas was opposite Pluto when she stationed retrograde. So here's Pluto at 29 Capricorn, and Pallas was at I think they were at 27 or 28 when it went retrograde. But here now we see her having come back all the way to 10 Cancer, and so Pluto is shining a spotlight on the shadow, and how all these different ways that we have not felt safe to be who we genuinely are. We are expected to show up in certain ways. There's oftentimes, especially I think in family situations, people can encounter their family as wanting them to be a certain way, so that it's like, you fit in, you can be part of our family, you can belong here if you follow certain rules, or you show up in certain ways, or you do what we want you to do, or be what we want you to be. So there hasn't been a safe space for people to really show up and be who they are, genuinely, authentically, that kind of thing. So I love that you mentioned that, Morgan, because it's like our opportunity to, what do we need to transmute and transform? When Pluto is in the house, it's like an alchemical process taking place. We can take those old wounds, those old ideas, those old beliefs, those old ways of being, put them in the cauldron, and have them be transmuted and transformed into the actual elixir or gold, or what's genuine for each of us. And of course, this is just the beginning, because it's going to take a long time to unwind and undo and connect with our true authentic self. So it's not that, the retrograde has been an opportunity to go deeper into that, right, but it's going to continue on through this whole Pallas cycle that we'll be sharing a little bit more about. But the other thing that is fascinating is Pallas square Jupiter, and I know there's going to be an exact square of Pallas to Jupiter as she's as we're going forward. So is that something you would like to speak into now?
Yeah, but before we jump over there, one other thing I wanted to say about one of the major themes of that I believe this whole cycle is going to be about is the disarmoring that we have against, you know, whatever we fear. And really it all starts from like an inner place, like a personality place, and how the ego kind of tries to jump in and protect, you know, what we think and who we think we are, because our environment seems so unsafe. And so this is really, I think, a brilliant opportunity to quiet the immune system, to work on, you know, how we can show up in the world being more authentically ourselves, and let go of the guarding that we have against our own selves, and to get and as we show up in the world.
You know, that is so important. And so I have found, I think for the first part of my life, what I did was I tried to be what I thought people wanted me to be. And I was also worried about them judging me if I didn't show up in a perfect way, whatever that meant. You know, but whatever my young self took on as that. And shedding and releasing that has, letting go of that armoring has been not an easy job. It's not easy
Right.
for anyone. But you know, so we also have Chiron squaring Pallas Athena to help in this situation. They've been kind of hanging out and square to each other. And so it's turning those wounds into our medicine, to our strength. And if we can recognize that is what the opportunity is for us, and work with it intentionally with awareness and intention and attention, then we can change everything. And so this
Yeah.
is so such high magic and so powerful. It's like, whoa.
Yeah. Right. And that's the perfect time to put up the Pallas square Jupiter chart, because Chiron is so heavily involved in that. Um, let's see. Yep.
So
And
here we go.
so as Jupiter is coming into conjunction with Chiron, they're going to be squaring Pallas and the moon. It just feels like such a powerful alignment. You know, the archetypes that are at hand are, you know, ancient and mythological, and they run so deeply in our psyche. And you know, we're really dealing with the karma of Zeus and Pallas Athena. And so it just brings up with this square like so much of that tension, and so probably so many contradictions too that are just hard to face, hard to deal with. And I think it's going to be a repetitive question over and over of how we create a safe space for these kinds of tensions to come up within ourselves, and to work through them. I mean, it just feels like a great opportunity.
One of the first things we need to do is stop judging ourselves and also others. And oftentimes we're judging others because we're judging ourselves.
Mm-hmm.
So when we recognize that we're maybe judging somebody or we're judging ourselves, how do we stop that? I mean, we don't have to necessarily know, because it might be different for different people, how to shift that to a different perspective or a different way. It's like, how can I just love who I am the way I am, in all my messiness and all my challenges, and, you know, health challenges or relationship challenges or work challenges or whatever those challenges might be, just to be in that place of acceptance. And you know, it's like the mom who takes care of her child, and the child makes a big mistake, but she still loves that child. She holds that child. She tells that child that hopefully in a healthy relationship, she tells that child she still loves it no matter what. And so our opportunity is to do that for ourselves, because if we're not feeling like we really love and appreciate and value who we are, we're not going to feel safe inside ourselves. So that's where
Right.
we need to start with all of this. And with Chiron, Jupiter, Venus squaring Pallas Athena, and look, the moon's right there too. You know, the moon, and then the square that's happening from all these planets. This is a massive opportunity to maybe take a quantum leap in doing this in a whole new way. It's such a gift.
Right.
So amazing.
Well, and I'm even noticing right now that this chart also has Mercury conjunct Saturn, within a degree, you know, that same day in Aquarius, and that feels like a big, you know, piece of the whole puzzle.
Yeah, it really does. And if we think about it's in the 5th house, so it's like, how do we do self-love? What are we telling ourselves? What are we constantly communicating to ourselves? And with Saturn there, the judge, the critic, the oftentimes we encounter the limitations of that, but Saturn's also about the new form. And so we can communicate to Saturn. Mercury is able to communicate to Saturn and say, hey, there's something new that we can create as the structure of our reality that includes that we really love and appreciate and get that our presence in this reality is the greatest gift we could possibly give to the world. It doesn't mean that we have to do anything. It just means that we need to be in that energy. And then look at all these Aries planets. Of course, this is, March 1st, 9:37 p.m. In Tucson, Arizona. So this is probably more for me, but this will show up in this way at some point during the day. This is just the more exact point. And the all in the this house of how we relate to ourselves and relate to others, and the Cancer moon with Pallas Athena in Cancer. Wow, just helping to amplify this energy of how do we create safety within. First, it has to come from within before we can experience it without. So it's from the inside out. So yeah, pretty amazing. Anything more you want to say about that?
I think again, just reiterating, on some level, the whole process of feeling safe within is an unconscious process. We kind of like let go on a conscious level, our immune system, our immune response, and other ways that other tactics we have to that the ego has to try to keep ourselves safe, with possibly addictions, certain behaviors, and things like that. So looking at our own patterning, looking at the way that we, try to avoid, because it doesn't feel safe, just trying to pay attention to like our own process of, getting deeper into our psyche. It's getting more authentic with ourselves and what's stopping us, what's in the way. These are things that, I think could come to surface at this time.
So great question. Or what would it take questions? What would it take for me to truly feel safe within myself? What would it take for me to let go of all the ways I've been conditioned to feel that I'm not good enough, I'm not smart enough, I'm not supportive enough, I haven't accomplished enough, whatever those judgments have been that we have, what would it take to let them go so that I can feel that I have value and worth just because I am, and I can feel safe within that? Because that we live in it's all about survival, right? So we're trying to survive. So it's not that any of the things we've done to survive up to this point are bad. It's just they're not helpful in terms of us getting to where we really want to be, what we really want to experience, the magic of what it is to be fully alive within ourselves and feeling safe and supported and loved, and that we are here getting to just vibrate with that energy and change the world as a result. So
and our personal realities.
yeah, so
Just
good. And
powerful.
so something else we want to speak into, we're going to do this a lot more in the next video, and I hope I'm not jumping the gun here, Morgan, but
No, yeah, this is great.
is to talk about Pallas Athena stationing direct within 4 degrees of the star Sirius, the magical star Sirius. And literally during this retrograde, Pallas has passed Sirius 3 times. Well, it will be passing it the 3rd time exact on March 17th. And we're going to speak more into this in the next video because there's other things going on with it. But something that we just figured out and it's been kind of like rocking our world a little bit is that the star Sirius was considered by the Egyptians to be their main star. When that star rose as a morning star, after having been with the sun for 70 days, that was the signaling of the bringing new life back to the desert. And because the Nile would start its annual floods. And that was what would nourish the soil and allow them to live there in the ways that they did. So one of the things they recognized was that the sun was with Sirius for about 70 days. And so their funeral rites were based on that 70 days. They performed the funeral rites for 70 days, the 70 days that Sirius was with the sun, so not visible. And from that perspective is in the underworld, but it's also sourcing new life. And then when it rises back up as morning star, it's sourcing new life. So here's Pallas Athena stationing direct, having been retrograde for around a little over 70 days, more like 78 days, but around 70 days, around that time period. And it's suggesting that this magical alignment with this magical star and any planet within 6 degrees of Sirius, one of the stars of the ancient alchemists, was considered to be amplifying the energy of Sirius. And Sirius was also considered the wishing star, the star to wish on, to the star to connect with, so that our dreams and our wishes can come true. It's just like, for us to have awareness around this and to work with this and to start now as Pallas goes direct on February 16th, it's already within those degrees of Sirius and will be for quite some time, and making that last pass on March 17th and a few other things that are going to be going on that we'll feature this in the next video, but just so you know.
Yeah, and start to think of intentions
and then the moon is with Pallas Athena on March 1st. So that's amplifying and sending directly the energy of Sirius right to the earth. So we can work with that and to work that high magic and that alchemy of what it takes to disarmor, to let go of, to put into the cauldron all of those base elements that now are going to be transformed into gold.
Yeah, we're going for the gold. For sure.
Yeah. So any last words for you?
I think that we just forgot to mention that Pallas has been out of bounds since the beginning of November, and tomorrow she goes back in bounds. So this has kind of been like an out of the ordinary time for her, and she really became a wild card. And so when she goes back in bounds, it might be a little bit more what's the word, like centering, is stable. I'm not even sure, what would you say the word would be?
Grounding, I don't know.
Yeah.
But here's the thing for people to know: if you don't know what out of bounds means, the sun can only be on the horizon, rising and setting on the horizon at certain points, 23.5 degrees north of east and west, or 23.5 degrees south of east and west. So when a planet goes outside the bounds, it's going beyond where the sun can be. Now, we don't see Pallas Athena, but still, when a planet's out of bounds, even if we can't see them, they do become more of that wild card or beyond our ordinary everyday reality. So the good news is that this has been about how do we source new ways of doing, how to be safe within ourselves, how to be safe within our family, how to be safe within our communities, and how to be safe in the world, in a world that is also going through a massive transformation at this time. And so Pallas being out of bounds. And so February 8th she's coming back into the boundaries. So she's on her way back in, but we've had this unique opportunity to experience her, because she can only be out of bounds in the signs of Gemini, Cancer, or Sag, Capricorn. So if she goes retrograde in one of those signs, she's going to be out of bounds for a long time. If she's in those signs and going out of bounds, not retrograde, she's only a really short time. That's just maybe a few days, a couple of weeks, something like that at the most. So
and I think the gift of knowing this is any insights that we've gotten during this retrograde period while she's been out of bounds are kind of like supercharged, and can we bring that and ground it into our own reality. And so tomorrow I think would be a good time to take inventory of those things.
Yeah, or anytime you hear this, because the energy will be present, but and Pallas will be back in balance.
Right.
Right. But yeah, so if these are things that have, ideas or perspectives or possibilities that have been coming to us outside the boundaries, that's a good thing, because the old boundaries are just not working. We needed to be outside
Yeah,
those boundaries.
absolutely.
That's the gift of this time. So yay.
Right. And that's medicine for me, for sure. It's, really owning my thought processes, owning my consciousness, owning my identity, and really owning, where I'm at in life right now is, this is what I created. And if I don't like it, like, how do we recreate? How do we create a safe space to be more authentic? And so that's kind of the adventure that I think we all can appreciate with Pallas Athena.
And remember that we're all in it together, so we can support one another. We can move beyond judgments of people. Like, if somebody's going through a tough time, it doesn't mean they did something wrong or it's their bad karma.
Right.
Right. It means it's their opportunity to grow,
Yeah, opportunities.
yeah, it's an opportunity, even though it doesn't necessarily feel like it.
Definitely.
Often doesn't feel like an opportunity. So yeah. All right. So then with that, I think we're complete, and we will look forward to sharing with you some more of the high magic of this amazing asteroid, her story, her teaching, and what she's bringing to us in terms of the possibilities we can engage and explore. So
Yeah.
until the next time.
Thank you, Kaylin.